Hi there, going to do a profile on Crawler. This is more like a pure variant Crawler. I do want to try Sprite Crawler at some point, but at the moment this is the pure one that I played. I'll probably make Sprite Crawler up this week at some point and play test it. But this variant's really nice, it's more like Stun, but I've generally really enjoyed it. I'll just get into it. It's a really fun deck, I think, Crawler. So I ran triple Soma. Soma's like your best one. He kind of starts off a lot of your plays. You definitely want to open him. So you definitely need 3 Soma. I ran 2 Receptor. So some people run 3 Receptor. At the moment, I ran 2. My actual crawler monster package is not very big. Opening multiple of the little crawlers is not too good. It's hard getting them out of your hand. The only exception is if you open Soma and a crawler. But otherwise, 2 Receptor, the better one. He searches stuff. But I was pretty happy with that. I enjoyed 1 and 2. And then all the rest of these are one-offs. So 1 Deuce, 1 Dendrite, 1 Ranvier, 1 Goliath, 1 Axon, and then 1 Spine. So Deuce is your floodgate. We only need 1 of them. Like if he gets banished, that's a problem. But if he's in your grave, it doesn't matter. You can recycle him. But at the end of the day, he's just like a bit of a problem card for people. He has an effect as well when he's face down, which is very rare, which is when he's targeted. He flips himself face up as cost and then negates the effect that targeted him. And then his other effect is pretty much his floodgate effect, which doesn't activate either. So pretty much when someone targets him, he flips himself face up as cost. Instantly, that's like your skill drain effect is active because it doesn't activate. Dendrite's a full spell. He's actually really interesting. Like you can put weird text in the deck because Dendrite full spells any monster. It's not just a crawler. It's quite a unique effect, I think, but it's very rare you use it for sending any other monsters. But you could put in like random tech or engines with the Dendrites and focus on using Dendrites instead. But for now, he's just a one. He's just a name. He's got the best attack as well from the smaller ones. Then Ranvier recycles crawlers from your grave to your hand. Glile's one you can consider putting to 2. He's the only one I'd say is like on par with Receptor because he summons crawlers from your hand or grave and face up attack or face down defense. So he's like your extender. He also recycles a lot of your crawlers. I enjoyed 1 of him. It's not exactly the worst thing if he dies because you can sometimes get him back with like Mind Meld. But I never felt like I needed more than 1. But yeah, it's not too bad if you decide to run 2 to have a bigger crawler package. And then 1 Axon, 1 Spine. Axon spell, Trap Pop, Spine's a Monster Pop. I never felt like I needed more than 1 of each of them. Spine's probably the better one out of the 2 you could pump up. But otherwise, the ratio on them were pretty good. And then I ran triple Gersu. You kind of need him. He's a 1 card combo into like getting your deuce out and set up. So you normal him, you send Mind Meld to the grave, you use his other effects on a token, you can then summon Lib. Lib will then set you World Legacy pawns from your deck. Then you can use Mind Meld to summon the deuce from your deck and face down the fence, and then pawns will flip the deuce face up. So you've kind of set up like your negate just from 1 card, like your floodgate guy. So he's definitely, you want to see him, so it's definitely a 3 of. The deck is quite sensitive to hand traps, though, I will say that. Triple Ash Blossom, it's a good hand trap. So that was the monster lineup I used. It's not like massive, but it's a nice size. And then for my spells, I ran Triple Book of Moon. This card was just amazing. Such a good card. It's good defensive, it's good offensive. And with a flip deck as well, it's really nice if someone like attacks on your face up crawlers, you can just flip them face down. Then they trigger their flip effect. Dodging like imperms, veilers, and I mean it's not like exactly amazing at dodging those, but you can still get like your Gersu center grave, which isn't the worst thing by using it. But then like out on like Arise Hearts and stuff like that is really handy with this card. Just book mooning problem cards. or like baiting out negates, because you're going to Book of Moon like a Baron, they're probably just going to negate the Book of Moon. But yeah, generally really good card. Then I ran triple Prosp. Like, you need to dig for your cards. Like, you need to go through and try and find your Gersu or your Soma. Unbricking your hands is really important. So this card's really important. Again, if you don't have Prosps, you don't have to. I think I was using just like another staple in the deck instead. But this is really handy because activating top 6 cards of your deck is like ridiculously OP when your deck really needs to dig for specific cards, or like side deck cards as well. But yeah, that was really good. Triple Survivor, that's like your other search. It activates top 5 cards of your deck. You add a Crawler or World Legacy card, send the rest to the grave. If you didn't hit either of those card types, you shuffle the rest back into deck. So the send to grave effect's actually pretty nice. So you could excavate and reveal Mind Meld on a Crawler. Add the Crawler, the Mind Meld will go to grave, and then you've got a Mind Meld set up in your grave. So that's actually kind of nice in that part of the effect. And then I run 1 Shadow, 1 Cool Buy, and 1 Succession. So Shadow summons Crawlers from your hand, gives them 300 attack and defense. If your opponent destroys your Crawler by battle, it sends the monster that destroyed him by battle to grave. It doesn't destroy, it sends. It's not like an amazing card, which is why it's a one-off, but it's really annoying when you get on the board for people. A lot of time people just like swing over your Crawlers, your small ones, but it punishes them for it. And you'll get your flip effect, but they'll lose a monster. So a lot of times it focuses their attention on just making sure they get rid of this card. A lot of players don't really understand Crawler that well because it's a bit of an older deck, and there's not many flip decks around except Guru. Like, Guru's like the only deck people ever really know regarding flip effects. 1 Cool Buy because we don't like hand traps, and then 1 Succession. It's searchable, so like I don't see any reason not to run it. It's extended, searchable. And then for trap cards, I ran 2 pawns. You don't need 3. You can't run 1. You need 2. Because if you run 1 and it gets destroyed or something, you really do need the other one in your deck. It's like the main card of your deck to like make sure you can play in your opponent's turn. Because there's no other way for you to flip your stuff face up except this. It does flip them face down as well, but majority of the time you're using the flip face up effect. So you do need 2. It is searchable, which is nice, but you need the second one in case the first one gets outed. But you don't need 3 because it clogs too much. Like, if you draw 2 of them, they're just there in your hand, and you're like, great. And then triple Mind Meld, fantastic card, such a good card. So you have Face of Crawler, negates a monster effect. Well, it doesn't negate the monster effect, it changes the monster effect into returning one of my monsters to the hand. And Crawlers get effects when they leave the field when they're face up and they leave the field by opponent's card effect. They summon 2 Crawlers from your deck. And then its effect in grave, it banishes from grave and summons a Crawler from your hand, deck, or grave in face up or face down defense to where a link monster points to. No, just face down defense, sorry. So generally there's like no negatives to that card. Fantastic card. And then I'm on triple Daru mechanic. This card has been fantastic, especially like a flip deck, but honestly it's just been so good and not many people play around it. So for example, I went against Paralee with this, and guy game 1, normal Paralee, used effect activate top 3. I think he got one of the quick play spells, then used the quick play spell to get Paralily out. Paralily searched a field spell, and they searched my friend, and then my friend searched a quick play, but the quick play was the only card in his hand, and he had Lily and Paralily and just normal Paralily on board. So he used effect of Lily to target the quick play and spell engrave to rank it up. I chained this to flip them both face down, and then just had to end his turn because he didn't play around it. Whereas if you just use one monster at a time, it's different. So I definitely won 3 of this. I enjoyed it, especially in the flip deck. There's no real negatives to it. Then I ran triple Imperm, so I ran 6 hand traps in a sense. Imperm's one of the better hand traps for sure. Is really good because Bone doesn't get triple talents off, and if you draw it for turn, it's like a hand trap you kind of draw, and you're like, oh, I can still use it as long as I have no cards on my field. So, fantastic card. My cat is meowing in the background. And then for my extra deck, I ran one Quilliark, one Urgos, one Synapsis. So one of each of the crawler extra deck guys, basically. Quilliark is the better one. It's one you're mostly going to go into. Neurogos and Synapsis usually get banished from Prosperity for me. But they do come up occasionally. They have pretty niche effects as well, like recycling when they die with battle card effects. But overall, like, really good cards. But you only need like one of each of them, and you don't even have to run the other two. Quilliark is like the main one you want to run. Then it's double Lib. Lib is you need two of her though. She's like the one who sets your World Legacy stuff from deck. She's really good card. Shuffles a card back into deck if she uses a link to you. She's a fantastic card. So yeah, definitely two though, because if the first one gets negated and outed, you need that second one. Then one Morning Star. You do run Mech Knights, so it's really handy. So you can then discard and search your World Legacy stuff, so that makes your Succession searchable. Yeah, so it's generally like pretty handy. I'm just like, you might as well use them if you have the Mech Knight stuff in here. Again, you could probably take them out for other stuff. Sometimes I'll just banish them off Pros because it's very rare that I summon them. Then it's one Avramax. He's just a boss monster. It's really good. Same with one Access Code, one Unicorn, one it means the Earth deck you want to use that. One IP. Yeah, so like the IP into the Avramax makes him into a really good boss monster. Almirage is really good. I think you definitely need to run this because you can normal a crawler. Let's say you use your Survivor to X-Ray top 5. You get a crawler, but you ditch your Mind Meld. You can normal the crawler, link it into this, Mind Meld your massive one from your deck because it arrow points down. So this is really good card. And then I just run a Zeus package because like that's the Zeus package that I run. Because Zeus is Zeus and he wins games. Yeah, it's very rare it comes up, but it does sometimes. But yeah, pretty much that's the profile. It's really fun deck, really cool. I am a big fan of Krawler. I liked a lot of the World Legacy storyline decks though. I think they're all really cool. But yeah, I'll get Sprite Krawler sorted out at some point. See ya.